When we decided to do a session on gun violence, we ran into all kinds of responses. There were a lot of people that got angry when they heard we were doing something on how to reduce gun violence. We thought everybody would like that and want to show up. Well, we got some responses. I remember one email said, gun violence, why don't you just do something on all violence? Why point out gun violence? Well, that was the topic, and we think it's a big issue. Another person said, I'm not going to send anybody to your session because my friends, they're pretty far on one extreme of this, and I wouldn't want my friends to mess up your session on gun violence. We knew we had hit a hot topic. We knew we had hit a hot button, but it was worth using whatever tool we could use to see if we could come up with a little bit of a breakthrough on this epidemic around the country and around the world. Rolestorming is a fantastic focus group and creativity tool that helps you seize opportunities, prevent trouble, and solve problems. Something amazing happened back in Silicon Valley when the traditional brainstorming stopped working for us. I tried adding role-playing to brainstorming, and it was amazing how managers, executives, engineers, designers, they nearly doubled the number of ideas they offered on solving corporate issues. Here's what happens when you use Rolestorming. The fear goes down, the fun goes up, and the focus expands. And here's the exciting part of a Rolestorming session. Designed and discussed, the group will go into idea generation where they'll take their roles and come up with loads of different ideas on the issue statement. The group that came together to discuss how to reduce gun violence insisted on starting with, this is not a debate. They didn't want to argue about gun control or gun safety, getting into the usual back and forth. They wanted to come up with some solutions. Now, in our case studies around Rolestorming, we've done sessions on the stock price, on multiple priorities, on how to handle stress. But here's one with some social value. It's usually young men. Now, it's not always, of course, it changes, but quite recently it's been young men who have experimented with gun violence before a tragedy and then during the tragedy, of course. 3 of our 8 winners in the first round of this upcoming Rolestorming case, 3 of the 8 mentioned the term understanding, and they came up with a final light bulb solution that said, tell me your story. How useful to ask, how smart to ask someone who has not been heard, someone who feels invisible, someone who feels left out, to ask them to tell me your story. There's a little quick discussion followed by what we call consensus voting, very unique to Rolestorming, where the voting is private, written, and then tallied and counted by members of the group, by attendees, and the results are written publicly. We're so thankful that you're watching this series on Rolestorming case studies. We've just picked about 7 or 8 of the different cases where we've run Rolestorming sessions for organizations, for public groups, for even a bicycling kind of topic. But we hadn't planned on something happening. We're thrilled that Rolestorming has gone global, but we didn't realize how many people would use it and maybe forget to say a little bit about the details or where they got it from. What we've noticed is there are 3 types of people using our copyrighted Rolestorming. You have the scholars who always cite the source. They always let people know where they got this information on Rolestorming. Then you've got the influencers all over the internet. Sometimes they cite sources, sometimes they don't, bless their hearts. And then you have imposters who never tell you where they found this information. There are some people on the speaking circuit. For years they've been using Rolestorming and they've never said where they got it from. So we did this little video on copyright and pulled an excerpt for these videos on case studies. The base rate for Rolestorming delivery and the basic certification is $6,200. We'd really like you to cite the source and then hopefully bring us in to do a session with your organization. Thank you so much. Some advised us to stay away from gun violence with our Rolestorming creativity tool. We were convinced, however, that it might make some breakthroughs, especially the part about playing different roles of the saint, sinner, and winner. We found there's a lot of fear around this topic. Even the venue where we conducted the focus group session asked us not to reveal their name. It turns out that the coverage may have slowed, but the shootings continue. And just imagine, everyone's mental health would improve if we could tell our story. This series of actual Rolestorming case studies ranges from the largest corporations to smaller social issue focus groups. With Rolestorming, your team benefits from 40 years of experience, 8 published books, and a focus on well-rounded human beings. Contact us for a vibrant, powerful, and profitable Rolestorming session. Implementation is more important than imagination and creativity combined.